I know you were interested in some things going on with the Sixers. Definitely like elaborate, let the pod know like what you've been thinking about recently.
All right, so the past couple of days, you got a lot of reports. The one that was 2 days ago was that the Sixers had VJ come in, which is expected. He's there.
Yeah.
He's going to be there at the third overall pick, and that they really liked him. He went out to dinner with Maury. Maxey flew in, which was like completely expected. But then, like you know how it is, like fans overreact. They're like, "Oh my God, they brought him in first. Like they haven't brought in Ace yet." Then,
Yeah.
like 10 minutes later, report come out, Ace Bailey coming in next week to meet. So he's coming in too, which is completely expected. I'm sure they'll also talk to Trey Johnson. I'm sure they'll also probably talk to Con Knippel too.
Yeah.
It's his combine measurements because he wasn't there originally, but then he came back in. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Okay.
But then
All right.
another report came out that we were talking to the Spurs about moving up to number two,
I saw that, yeah.
and which I don't know, smoke screen season. Like could be us trying to get leverage to trade back. Could be the Spurs trying to get leverage to trade back with another team or something like that. But if you think about it, I think it also makes sense for both teams. I think that three guard lineup with Harper, I assume we keep McCain because I don't think we would give up three and McCain to move up. I think we would rather have
Bro, if
VJ or
they
Ace.
give up McCain, I'm done, man.
I think it would be stupid. Like for as good as I think Dylan Harper is, like because you would have to give up McCain and three to trade up. That wouldn't make sense. I would rather just have McCain and whoever we draft at three. For as
Yeah.
great as I think Dylan Harper is, like that the trade wouldn't make sense to me. I'd rather have the two good young players than the one good young player. Especially because Dylan Harper, for as much as I like him, I think he is by far the second best prospect in the draft, in my opinion. And I would
Yeah.
be willing to give up draft capital to move up and get him. Um, a guard that struggles with their not struggles, but a guard who isn't a good 3 point shooter off the dribble is scary. Like for as good as the Thunder are, like I think that's how good you have to be a primary creator who's a guard and not shoot the three ball well. And like it's unlikely he ever gets to be as good as SGA because SGA is one of the best players I've ever seen, like peak for peak
Yeah.
in my lifetime. Um, but yeah, how would you feel about moving up to Dylan Harper? Like, what would you be willing to give up? I know you said you wouldn't be willing to give up a King, but what about like what picks? How many? Or at all? Or
Oddly
would you
enough,
rather stay
bro,
there?
I feel like since the Sixers are, because I'm looking at it in a perspective of we honestly need to rebuild more than contend, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm thinking like if you want to trade up to two, it better be a good reason of why you want to trade up to number two because like you don't need to be trading extra picks when we're like our future is kind of like uncertain right now. You know what I mean? Um, I'm kind of I'm kind of on the fence of just like keeping the third pick. I've heard that they would trade down potentially to draft VJ. Um, so like if that's the guy that they want, we gotta get like we gotta get something in return. You know what I mean? We have to get another player, preferably like a three, a veteran three, maybe four. Um, so I mean, I feel like I'm really content with staying at three, just because of how hard we had to work to get to three.
Mhm.
I just don't want this pick to be basically a waste of a year.
Yeah.
Especially when we're trying to compete, allegedly.
Yeah. Personally, I would trade up, but I would like be very cautious about the package. And I would probably only want to use the Clippers picks to trade up, if that makes sense. Because that way if we have another year like we had this year, it doesn't really hurt us. And we traded the one swap earlier in the season, but we still have the 2028 unprotected.
Oh, wait, which
So
deal? And which deal was that when we traded the swap?
we
Trying
traded the
to
swap
understand what you're
we
talking
traded the swap with Reggie Jackson
about. Oh,
to
okay, to
the
Charlotte or something
Wizards
like that.
as
Oh,
like a salary dump. We got back Jared Butler and we got back 4 seconds, but those seconds are all like really good if you look at the team. So it's
gotcha.
actually a really good trade for Maury. Like if I'm being honest, because like the Wizards they didn't want to have 4 seconds; they would rather have one first, even though that first is like so that first is interesting because it's the worst of the Clippers, the Rockets, and the Thunder. So one of those teams is probably going to be really good. So it's going to be like a late 20s first, but we still have the Clippers unprotected 2028.
Yeah,
I'd be willing to trade that because that pick could look really valuable.
yeah,
But who knows? Like maybe Kawhi Leonard and James Harden are still there in 2028, and that team is like a playing level team, and you're only trading the 15th overall pick in 3 years, and you're trading the third overall pick to move up. So I would look at it as like
I get
maybe
that.
you're selling high on that pick because it's pretty valuable. I wouldn't give up our own though, because I would be really scared. Because I agree, we are rebuilding, but we also kind of got that pick for free if you look at it, because we got that in the James Harden signing trade. Like James Harden could have opted out, and we got nothing back for him. He opted into his player option, and we were able to trade him and get back like two firsts and a swap, I
Yeah.
believe, and like salary fillers.
Yeah.
So we have that pick, and it would be nice to keep it. But it's like you also kind of want to make a timeline. Like we both believe in McCain, we both believe in Maxey. If you're waiting until 2028, that pick is probably not going to be on the same timeline as Tyrese Maxey. It
Yeah.
might be on the
I
same
agree.
timeline as Aaron McCain, but like I'll be cool with trading, like with using that pick to go get Dylan Harper. If it's our pick in
I
2030,
get
I'm a
that.
little
Yeah.
scared that that's going to be a good pick, but I would do that. I don't know if that would be enough for the Spurs, but I don't know because when we traded up from 3-1 with the Celtics, we used the Kings. We used a Kings pick, and that was trading up two spots. And first reviewed as very valuable now. And the Spurs, like, I don't know how much they value Dylan Harper. Maybe they like the fit of VJ or Ace better at three, and maybe they only want to move back one spot, and one first is enough. So I don't know. I'll probably do that. Not sure if the Spurs would. I've seen like Spurs fans be happy to trade down. I've seen Spurs fans like not want to. Uh,
Hmm.
maybe I'm undervaluing it. I probably wouldn't give up like two first to trade up though, because I do like the players that are there at three. I do have some trade back ideas because you mentioned it, and
Yeah, for
I
sure, bro.
I
Like,
would also probably rather do that. So Kevin O'Connor at Yahoo Sports, he used to work for the Ringer.
yeah.
He had one where I don't think the Pelicans would do this because they're giving up a lot, but they trade up from 7 to 3, and we get Herb Jones, and they also have a
Oh, I
Pacers
saw that trade.
2026
Yeah.
first round pick. So I think that's too much. I would probably even do that without the Pacers first round pick because Herb Jones, I think when he plays, like he's usually pretty healthy. He wasn't healthy this year. Um, I think he's like a top. He's been a top 50 impact player in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
not from like a
Defensive player.
points, rebounds, assist perspective, but like total impact on the game. He's been a top 50 player. If you trade back to 7, he had us taking Kamal Maluwatch. I don't really want to do that. I would rather have like I don't know. I would hope Khan Knippel's there. If he's not, I really like Noah Essengay from France. He just measured in at 6'10", barefoot. He's like a power forward type of guy, big, grabs rebounds, gets to the free throw line. I would be happy if we got Herb Jones and Essengay, but he had Malawatch. So, would you do that trade with or without the Pacers pick? And who would you like at 7? Couple guys in case one's not there.
Well, I was gonna ask you a question first before I answered
Okay.
that. I was gonna say, what about Trey Murphy?
I don't think we can make the salaries match because that would be really interesting. But I don't know if we can match the salary. I love Trey Murphy. He's actually one of my favorite players in the league. So it's funny you
Yeah,
bring him
yeah,
up.
yeah.
I have like such a soft spot for him. I would probably overvalue him in the trade because I would just love to see one of my favorite players play with my team. I would absolutely do it if he was in the deal. So if we could find a way to make the salaries match, I don't know I don't know what restrictions we have, whether like because I know we got a trade exception. I don't know if that could work or something like that, but I would absolutely love him. So if that was possible, if they wanted Ace Bailey and they're like he's redundant with Trey, we'll send out Trey with that pick. I would do that. So because I love him.
I mean, okay, so I feel like if we let's say like we make that deal, we get the number 7th pick. I would say like, man, that's hard. That's hard. I would say like low key, maybe draft a backup big.
So
Um,
you'd be fine with Malawatch. I think
I'd
I'd
be
be
fine with
okay with
like
it. I
Malawash
would
or
like
Derek Queen, like one of those two. But I mean, preferably I'd rather be higher in the lottery. But that's just, because I
yeah.
know that this draft class is I mean, not like allegedly, but they say that it's not as good as um like in terms of just a drop off of talent, you know?
Yeah, they're like kind of all on the same tier. It's interesting. Seven's weird because like the players that would fit with the Sixers are most likely going to go between like 3 and 5 or 3 and 6 between like VJ Ace,
Yeah.
Con, Trey. That's like 4 players that are going
Yeah.
to be like. So seven's a weird spot for us. We just got to hope somebody takes Fears or takes Malawatch there, and then one of our guys falls to us. But I don't know. And then the other one was Sam Vecini at the Athletic. He had one, which is interesting too. It's we trade back from 3 to 4 with the Wizard. No, not the Wizard, the Hornets. The Hornets also have like the 32nd overall pick in the draft.
Mhm.
So we send 3 and we get rid of Andre Drummond's $5 million.
Mm,
to create cap space, and we get back the fourth overall pick, and we get the 32nd overall pick, and
mm,
then we do another trade back to with the Wizards is the second one, and we get they pick number like eight, no, pick number six. They pick number six,
yeah,
and they have pick number 18 or 19, one of those two.
yeah.
And then so in this one, and we ship off Eric Gordon's salary. So in this one, we shed $10 million
Mm,
in
okay,
salary,
okay, okay. I
something like
see
that.
it. Yeah, I see
$10
what
million dollars in salary, but we have pick number six, and he had a stake in Con Knuckle. Pick number like 18, he had a stake in Danny Wolf from Michigan. Pick number 32 was a dude Thero from Arkansas. And then our pick at 35, he had us taking Yannick Coda Niederhauser from Penn State.
you're.
So we walk away with four rookies. We shed $10 million in salary, but we don't get like one of the high picks. Personally, I like it because I'm such a big Con Knuckle fan. I
Mm-hmm.
do like a dude Thero. He's been on my radar as a second round pick this whole time. I do like him as like a potential like point of attack defender on the wing.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Danny Wolf a lot too as a big that could stretch the floor because I don't think you could have enough big depth with like Joel Embiid on your roster. Like you're going to need a lot of like bigs to play when he's not there. Um, and I think that Danny Wolf also could play next to a Dembona because Danny Wolf is so mobile. I don't know if you're like familiar with Danny Wolf's game. He kind of reminds me like of a
I'm not
Nas
familiar
type
with
guy.
Danny Wolf.
He's
Please
very
educate
fun to watch. He's older. He's like a 4 year, but he's very fun to watch. I really like him.
me.
But that one's pretty interesting. So how would you feel about that one compared to the other trade back?
Well, I like it in terms of getting rid of I think what Drummond Gordon are coming back. It's a
Yeah,
players
player options.
yeah. Um so like I understand why we're doing that in terms of that aspect. Um I guess like my only concern is given the fact that we're contending, quote unquote, right?
Mhm.
Like we need a veteran guard, I guess, in those kind of trades, or at least like a young player with like talent. Not saying like let's say like we trade like we do that trade, we trade the pick to Washington, right? I feel like we could pry somebody, but
So
I don't
you'd want like a Balil Koulibaly instead of the second round pick or something like that. You
like
think that would
somebody
be
like that,
good
yeah,
value?
like somebody who's young, who has potential. Um, And I think the Sixers are trying to build this culture of having ragtag players kind of on one team. So if you're gonna do that, then we should get some type of veteran instead of nothing. But that's just kind of like how I view it.
I think that Sam was doing that because he looks at it like getting Gordon's salary off our team is enough.
We got like 5 minutes left.
Okay. And I do want to say about Khan. I saved something on Twitter today because he did not originally do the NBA combine when everybody else did, and that looked
Yeah.
really bad. However, he did a combine pretty recently, and his results are updated to NBA's website.
Mhm.
His lane agility time, these numbers are probably not going to mean anything, but I'm going to put them in context a little bit, was 11.92 seconds. His shuttle run was 2.92 seconds. His three-quarter sprints was 3.5 seconds. And then the standing vert was 31.5 inches.
Mm.
But his max vertical leap, which you could like run and jump into, was 36.5. Those
Mm.
those vertical leaps were way better than I expected.
Yeah.
He actually had a better standing vert than VJ Edgecombe.
Mm.
I'm not
Okay.
like in game that like didn't check out, and I think that matters more than the combine. But I don't know. Like the way I'm looking at it is like VJ Edgecombe, like this like elite athlete is being sold as like kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
had
yeah.
a underwhelming combine. He also had a faster shuttle run than VJ. It's like well, VJ did jump like 2 inches higher off like running like the max vert. I don't know. Con Knipple isn't as like unathletic as he's being sold as. I'm a big Con Knipple fan. I know you're a big Duke fan, so I know you've watched Con throughout the year. I just wanted to know your thoughts on him. How you think
Honestly,
he
bro,
does on the
like,
team, and if you would be willing to take him at three, or if you would need to trade back to take him.
see, I don't think I would take him at 3, but I think Khan has the qualities that you need in a winning player.
I agree.
So I mean, honestly, like I think him and VJ have similar qualities. The difference is that Khan has a better shot, in my opinion. So like I had VJ slipping, so I probably would choose Khan over VJ in
Hmm.
my personal opinion if I were drafting both of them. But um, I probably wouldn't draft him at 3. I'd probably trade down, try to see again if I can get a veteran player and then draft Khan, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, bro.
I really like Khan. I think like you see it with the Pacers, like high processor, can really shoot the ball. I think he's very important to winning. I'll be fine with him. I would like a trade down because I think like you could, and I think it's best to maximize your assets when possible. So I
Yeah.
think like even if it's just a trade down to 4 and like you pick up a little bit, or like a trade down to 5, you pick up a little bit. I don't know. I've kind of been like an ace guy the whole time. The process does really scare me, but I have like some weird attachment to him that I can't shake, and I don't know why. Um, even though like I don't think he's the smart pick, and I don't think that's what we're going to do. Like if I'm in the chair, I think it would be hard for me to pass on him just because I think the traits are there. And like while I am like a more analytical guy, like especially the NBA level, I don't know. Prospect, I'm looking at traits. Um, Sam Vecini brought up a good point. I was listening to him talk. He looks up to Paul George. Paul George kind of came in as like more of a role player and like blossomed into a star. So I think having Paul and the team that got Ace would be good for us. So I think like more context needs to be added in just like the spreadsheets. But I'm okay with VJ or Trey. They're both really hard workers. I think it's a lot of good options there. So um, I
Yeah.
really don't know right now, if I'm being honest with you, bro. I
I
think
mean,
I think the intangibles would matter a lot.